Loki is getting his own series on Disney's new video-on-demand streaming platform Disney+. But what could a show about the God of Mischief possibly look like? And does this mean he'll no longer be a part of the MCU? Also, wait a second, didn't he already totally pass away at the hands of Thanos? Between Loki, Gamora, Vision, and all of the snapped folks coming back in Endgame, is Infinity War just totally irrelevant at this point? Nothing that happened in that movie has any effect on where we stand today. It may as well have been a spooky dream sequence that Steve Rogers wakes up from, in a panic as Peggy Carter calms him down in their crappy 1948 bed. That would have been just as useful. So Loki is taking that space stone of his and not only using it to escape from 2012, but it also appears as though he'll be escaping from the MCU entirely, jumping over to Disney+, the company's new streaming content service. While it's cool that the character will be getting a leading role in his own show, Disney Plus is also kind of the Purgatory of the Marvel Universe. The roster of rumored characters heading away from the big screen to the small one includes Scarlet Witch, Vision, Hawkeye, Falcon, and Bucky Barnes. Not exactly Marvel's A-list of heroes. It's somewhat of a poo-poo platter of names that have all run their course in the MCU and no longer have a place to be or a story to tell. That's kind of the case with Loki. We saw him go from evil mastermind trying to enslave humanity to more of a likable and sensible guy seeking redemption for his past mistakes. He also got taken out in Infinity War, but at least he did so fighting for justice and by standing up to Thanos. It really was a hero's farewell.
So long, farewell.
His arc is completely finished, but there's more money to be made and this horse is still kicking, so Marvel decided to bring him back. That scene in Endgame where a 2012 version of the character escapes with the Tesseract was absolutely not pivotal to the story of the movie, but was necessary in order to explain how and why Loki is suddenly back on our screens. They strategically placed it in there so that they'd have an excuse to do an entire series about the character. This raises some huge questions though. For starters, which Loki are we getting? Keep in mind, the lovable version of the character that we grew to love in Ragnarok and Infinity War is no more. That guy suffered the ultimate defeat at the hands of Thanos. However, the 2012 version, who was still completely and utterly insane and evil, is the one that escaped with the Space Stone. So, are they making a show where the main character is a villain? I'm not sure how they're planning to pull that off, but it'll be interesting to see a bad guy as the protagonist. Another glaring question is which timeline will this take place in? Marvel made a big stink about time travel and explaining how it apparently works in the MCU. Going back and changing the events of the past doesn't alter the future, it simply creates a new alternate timeline. So when Tony Stark, Steve Rogers, and Scott Lang go back to 2012 to grab the Space Stone and fail, they were actually creating a whole new branch of reality. The fact that Loki escapes and is now running around on the loose with an Infinity Stone is yet another completely separate reality. They even make a new timeline when they go back to the 1970s and manage to obtain the Space Stone from there. That's a lot of different realities and dimensions to think about. Also, come to think of it, when Tony, Steve, and Scott get back from their botched mission that they make up for, they don't even tell Thor that his formerly deceased brother might be on the loose. What kind of teammates are they? Plus, Thor could really use a win. How do you not let him know that his brother is roaming through the galaxy with the Space Stone now? How does that just slip your mind?
Nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too fast.
In Endgame, the Ancient One warned Bruce Banner that if all the stones don't get put back into their rightful place, it'll create horrible chaos and darkness. Well, at the end of the movie, Steve Rogers goes back and puts all the stones back where they belong. Only, he only really returns the 1970s version of the Space Stone back to its intended place and era. The 2012 version is still somewhere on the loose with Loki. Therefore, it would stand to reason that this new Loki show on Disney Plus won't even be happening within the same timeline as the main MCU. It'll likely take place on some alternate plane where Loki escaped. If that's the case, then everything Loki was involved in since 2012, including Ragnarok and Infinity War, must not have happened in that timeline. Meaning he never learnt the error of his ways or turned a new leaf towards a life of redemption. He's still a sicko hell-bent on power. So that's fun. I'm curious what kind of cameos will appear throughout the series. After all, this is a Loki show, but any number of big-name heroes and villains are liable to pop up at any moment. One obvious one would be his brother, Thor, seeing as how the pair are always within earshot of one another. There's also the possibility that this confirmed Loki show will coincide with the Falcon and Bucky show. After all, it was Captain America's duty at the end of Endgame to go back and put all the Infinity Stones back where they rightfully belong. He did an alright job, but missed one important one. With Steve Rogers now retired and passing along the shield and moniker to Sam Wilson, perhaps it'll be the new Captain America's duty to chase down Loki and retrieve the missing Space Stone and finally restore balance. Kind of like a cat and mouse game, but through space and time. For those who still need to brush up on their Infinity Stone knowledge, the Space Stone allows the user to easily transport around the galaxy. Loki is already the god of mischief, so giving him that sort of elusiveness makes him downright impossible to track down and contain. They could have Falcon and Bucky chasing him for 12 seasons before they'd need to think of something new. That's my theory, but according to The Hollywood Reporter, the show will actually follow Loki as he revisits events in human history and acts as a, quote, unlikely influencer. So, he's basically just gonna do a time traveler's husband? That has potential to be interesting, and there's a limitless number of fascinating times and events they could send him to. One episode he'll be in Egypt building the pyramids, and the next he'll be at Woodstock in 1969. The world has some pretty decent historical events, I guess, so injecting Loki into them like Marty McFly accidentally inspiring Chuck Berry could be pretty cool. I think that in order to understand the future, it's important to get a solid grasp on the past. Who is Loki, and why is an entire series about him a good idea? Well, he's the god of mischief, and he's the son of Odin, kind of. He's actually the adopted son of Odin, and Thor's adopted brother. His real dad is a frost giant, but whatever. Odin raised him, so he's Odin's boy, gosh darn it. This whole identity crisis actually takes quite a toll on the trickster, as he tends to be a bit power-hungry and maniacal at times. He was the main villain of the first Avengers movie when he tried enslaving all of Earth. Rather than just talk through his emotions or have a conversation with his brother Thor, the pair end up going head-to-head in countless confrontations. Eventually, Loki starts learning his lesson. By Thor Ragnarok, he's still morally questionable, but he's clearly making attempts to do the right thing and be a decent person. By Infinity War, he's completely by his brother's side and on the righteous path to redemption. We really see him come full circle, and it was pretty touching to observe as an audience. And that's when Thanos strangles him. Oops. He doesn't even get a big memorable send-off like other characters that they write off. He dies within the first few minutes of the movie. Loki deserves better than that. What's funny is that Thanos' last words to Loki are, quote, "There's no resurrections this time." False, big guy. Anything is possible in the MCU. Not only was his universal elimination plan thwarted, his entire army defeated, and he got snapped into oblivion, but he was proven wrong. Ha ha! Before we go, let's take a look at some comments that stood out from our recent videos. Super Bob Gaming writes, quote, "Honestly, I just found this channel and despite being a smaller one, it is very professional and good luck. Thank you for the luck, Super Bob. We appreciate the kind words." Bat Mall asks, quote, "BTS, I am a small YouTuber and have been a fan for a while. Can you give me some support?" Well, Mr. Mall, here you go. You have our undying support in whatever you choose to do. Finally, James Anderson writes, quote, "I'm pretty sure the guy who invented time travel is dead now. Good luck getting Professor Hulk to fix and problems that may arise. And now that Hank Pym is also gone, I don't think that the quantum realm is gonna be as easy a access as it was either. Basically, we need Spider-Man to go to the future and bring back future Spider-Man to fix any of their issues, and I'm sure like Thor and Captain Marvel, he will have his own things to do. Really, these things are already dealt with because they killed Iron Man, so again, I'm gonna say you didn't watch the movies, bro, or your theories crafting 101 has erased all true knowledge of the movies and replaced it with made-up theory crafting, lol. What? On that note, I'm gonna go take an Advil and then maybe reread that 13 or 14 more times to try and make sense of it. Let's hear from you. What are your thoughts on a Loki series? How do you see it playing out, and what will it be about? Also, what type of Loki are we expecting as a main character? Drop your comments in the section down below. Before you go, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, and also subscribe to Behind the Screen to stay up to date on all of our latest releases. Until next time, bye!